I've had an email which has been brought to my attention, so I thought I'd share it with you. I've had an email from somebody who's a parent of children at the same school, which I've mentioned, and I know this person, and she has said to me, have you looked into the staff? That's been some of the staff members that are at that school and teaching at that school. So she's then taken my number and we've had a WhatsApp conversation this evening. Now, she's made me aware of this, but I already knew this. I'd already looked into this and I'd already knew the story of this. But I think I want to just clarify and share this without waffling too much, a quick one. Now, when these teachers apply for the jobs, whether the teachers or whether the TAs or whether they're cooks, cleaners or anything like that, then I know that they have a DBS check done on them. Now, myself, when I worked in security, applied for my badges and everything else like that, they would do a DBS check through the police. I did have my firearm certificate. That was brought up in a conversation with the police last summer. Obviously, that was checked before I was granted my firearm certificate. So therefore, they did a background check on me to allow me to have a shotgun certificate, to allow me to have a firearms, okay? So, and then when they grant you your door badge, so in 2003 with my local council, as the badges were in them days, they did a DBS check on him. And not only did they do it, or it was called something different then, wasn't it, a DBS check? They would not only do that, I then had to go into the police station and be interviewed by the police to see that, I'm fit to do that job. When I applied for it again, although I had problems in 2007, when myself and my son both applied for our door badges, my son got his back within 3 months. But because of myself, an incident that was not related to me, it was related to a family member of mine, although they'd already granted my sons, they got me into the police station for my routine, before they granted me my SIA badge, and did a routine interview with me. Now, on that interview, they'd basically done a massive background check on me, and on there, prior to 2000, I think it was about 2000, there was an allegation of, I was accused of something that I didn't take part in, believe it or not. There was an allegation made. They investigated that allegation, and I was in a totally different area to where this incident happened. Not only was I in a totally different area, I was in a nightclub under a camera, and this incident had got nothing to do with me. But yet that was highlighted on my paperwork. It was also highlighted that I'd got family members that had been in prison and little things like that. They wanted to discuss that with me. So that's just to tell you how it used to be with these DBS checks. Now, if I applied for a DBS check tomorrow, I'm sure that my DBS check would come back as clear, right? Now, if they did an intense DBS check on me, which these schools do not do on their staff, then I'm sure it would show up that when I was arrested, no further action on all the occasions I've been arrested over the last fucking 24 months or whatever it's been, and prior to that years ago. Now, this woman who's messaged me tonight and been talking to me tonight, she's made me aware of a teaching assistant at that school, okay? I already knew that story. She worked there and was employed there and now is a teaching assistant who has relatives that's been in prison. Do the trust know this? Okay? Not only in prison, gone back into prison. Come out and gone back into prison for a similar thing. Now, my ex-wife, my second wife, are they aware, although she's squeaky clean, but if they did an intense one, did they ask names of family members? Have they said, have you got any family members that's been in prison? Have you got any family members that's been done for violent offences? Have you got any family members that we might deem as, we don't really want you working to us in case in the future this gets highlighted publicly? Have they asked these questions to these members of staff, like the county council do when you're employed through the county council? So I'm told, so I'm led to believe, so this woman's told me, I'm not going to name her. Now, if that's the case, did this person I'm talking about, who worked in that establishment, did she inform them that her brother had been to prison for a violent assault on his girlfriend, which is all over Google, which I can legally stop recording, re-record and read the post out from Google, naming the incidents and everything, because it's public knowledge. It's been in all the papers, it's been on Google. Did she disclose that? Not only did she not disclose it, or did she disclose it? Did she tell them? I'm sure she didn't. Now, her maiden name is not the same name as her brother, okay? But it's the same name as her father. Now, when he was convicted of this and sent to prison, she was writing to him in prison. Now, the other member of staff was visiting her brother in prison, and he had been done for violent offences. All logged down. This is all going to be logged down with my solicitor, because the reason is these people are supposed to be safeguarding your children, and they've got relatives that's been in prison. Now, if you go in the police, they can object to you joining the police, object to you joining the armed forces, if you've got members of your family that's been in prison and criminal activities. That's the first thing. Do they realise that this person's brother, whose girlfriend that he beat and was sent to prison for beating, is another member of staff's stepdaughter, whose husband she's now married is my ex-door neighbour from Jenkins Avenue? Are they aware of this? Are they aware of all this? Because under this safeguarding issue that I'm concerned about, I think these things ought to be noted. And I think these trusts and academies need to be looking at their staff more and who they associate with. So that's that. Now, my sister is a police officer and she works for Nottinghamshire Police. There's no, everybody knows that. Now, she had to disclose that her brother had been in prison. My brother's been in prison. Not only has he been in prison on several occasions, some for violence, some for theft, some for all these other things, she had to explain to the police when she had her interview that she no longer has any contact with him, which she doesn't. She didn't have anything to do with him. Now, again, I won't name him, although it's on, again, I can Google his name and it will come up on Google that he's been done for these things. But I'm not in a position where I'm going to be teaching a school. I'm not going to be teaching in a school. And if I'm ever I am training to do something that I will have to have a DBS check done on, because of the working for. I'm not going to explain what I'm doing. It's personal, it's private. I'm studying. Now, when I get this job, if I get this job, then I'm going to have to disclose who my relatives are that's been in prison, which I will. Now, not only has my brother been in prison, his son has been in prison. And he's 23 years old. I could name him. It's all over Google. And this week, if you follow Facebook, the police on Facebook, your Ashfield police, your Newark police, your Nottinghamshire police, he's all over that. He's all over Facebook and everybody's sharing it. I've even had friends of mine sharing the post, not realising that, he's my brother's son. Now, I've not seen him since he was 6 months old. And I don't even think my brother had a lot to do with him since he was a teenager. But I would still disclose that so that they can look into that and say this, that, and the other. So my argument is, right, do they do a deep DBS or do they just take them on and not realising who they're associated with? Do they let people know that the people that they've associated with in the past have got criminal records? Probably not. Probably not. Do they let them know that them have been in prison for numerous occasions? Did my ex-partner, and I think the trust should come and speak to me, did my ex-partner tell you that her ex-partner, girlfriend, had children in that school under the social services in her class? Did she tell you that? Probably not. Maybe I should put that down on file as well to let the people know about all this. So a teaching assistant in a classroom is teaching a child, and there were several children in that school by that woman, teaching a child under social services with an ex-partner, who she was an ex-partner to. There's not a conflict of interest in that. Did she inform the head? Did she inform the headmistress when she was teaching my granddaughter? No. This is all the things that these are covering up. She did eventually, and she knew it was her, because she come round to my house as a baby. She didn't disclose all this information, and I think this information should be relevant. And there's more. I know more and more and more, not only about staff members and criminal, I know a lot, which I'm going to make an in-depth statement, because the safeguarding, this has to be looked at. Now, there's been comments made about me, and my ex-wife at no point, my second wife, at no point has said that I've been violent towards her. And that's on court record, and I've got that on statement. Now, she approached my first wife and asked if I was violent to her. And my first wife said no. Now, I was in a relationship back with her previous to Christmas. Now, I'm not going to discuss her, because I've got a maximum respect for her. And it wouldn't be right for me to sit here and discuss her. And she, I'm leaving her out of it. She wants to be left out of it, and I respect that. It's a private person. Now, she was contacted by her and asked if I'd been violent to her, and she had said no. Now, the only time I've been violent to her was when I run over her foot in a car when she was watching me out, and she put her foot on the car, which broke it, and she's still suffering from that to this day, and we laugh about that. Okay? Now, if I was a violent person towards her, why did she let me enter into a relationship again with her before Christmas? Why was she due to move in with me in April? She wanted to move in with me in April. Why did her landlord put her house up for sale? Because she was moving out and moving in with me, which we didn't tell anybody. Why would she do that? Why did she turn around to me before Christmas of last year and say to me, you're not the Paul that I married. You're not the same person. What has happened to you? And I had to sit down and explain everything that had happened to me in my second marriage. And she turned around and said to me, well, she couldn't believe it. She could not believe it. So anyway, there you go. These trusts need to look into their staff, because I'm making notes of these people that work for you. The girl that was a dinner lady and now works as a teaching assistant, I'm sure that's not been looked into. My ex was, her brother battered one of your other staff members' daughter and got put to prison for it. Associating with on social media, writing to and in prison. These things, I believe, now should be noted, because I think there could well be a conflict of interest. Now, if these teachers' brothers get out of prison and they come onto the premises, right, do you phone 999 on them? Even though they've been sent to prison for violent offences. I've never been done for anything. Never been prosecuted for anything. There you go. Check your staff. Check your staff. Because obviously, if this goes to court and all the rest of it, I want that information looking at. That information is going to be sent across to the Education Authority, that staff members in these schools, relatives, have been to prison for violent offences, for drugs offences, and had criminal records for robbing old ladies in wheelchairs. It's all on Google. Traffic offences, constant flow Is that acceptable? Maybe people out there think, yeah, it's acceptable, it's not them. That's fine. But how can you work with somebody and look at somebody, share posts with somebody, share your social media with somebody, when your brother beat their stepdaughter and got sent to prison for it? My ex-neighbour. It's an Easter egg all round, isn't it? God bless each and every one of you, and there will be more coming. I guarantee you. I might decide to sit on here and read some Google posts. Let's see. God bless.